Yo, yo, yo. Uh, I hope everybody can hear me. I don't know if we have a way to check it. Maybe Abraham can go get my phone. And how do we look at is the chat the comments like that? Is that what we normally see comments in? Yeah. Mm-mm. It'll be on my YouTube. Turn like that so I'm not getting the window in the shot. Maybe at least not that window. Hmm? Yeah, that'll be fine. I think. Hey, there's Eric Gale. Can you hear my audio, Eric Gale? Okay, cool. All right. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I really didn't mean to move from 7 to 8, but I I had to set this contraption up with all the mic stuff, and it's got these camera tree thingies, so I can do lives actually from here at the house, and I don't have to set them up so crazy big at the studio, and we can just do small ones where we're just um, talking a little bit. We'll set it up to where we can play a little bit too. And I'd like to get a couple of cameras. I'd like to get a camera on this other one that I can flip over cameras to Abraham. Maybe have multicam. I don't know how that works. I'm looking at screen, picture in picture, cinema, thumbnails. Like if I shift to there, share your screen. Okay, and close the tip. I don't know what I'm doing right there, but I'm just shifting around some. I'm looking at this thing. So we're streaming. So if I was setting it up, it would be midnight. It would be midnight. Yeah. So I just got this thing. I basically was eating supper at about 5 minutes after 7. So I just packed this thing out of the box and set it up, and it didn't have any instructions with it. But I was like, can't be but so much. So it's got this big crazy. You have to see. It's got, if I can turn the cam, it's got this big crazy tree thing. Like that thing right there is actually, there you go. That's where my mic stand is, and there's another camera stand right here and all this crazy stuff. It's called the creator tree or something like that, from B&H, from the good folks at B&H. Make it lighter, brighter. Okay, maybe I'll do another shade of light like this. I look kind of sick if I'm doing that. That's all right. How's that? Is that okay? I would prefer that the camera looks like it's right up my nose when I'm talking. Doesn't really. Yeah, we'll shift those lights around. How's that? Huh? Like that? That's okay. Oh, Eric says it was dark. Yeah, is that better? Huh? Okay, well that's not so bad. Yeah, that's not so bad. Yeah, that's not so bad. It looks crazy up on the screen. So I have other cameras and all that stuff. I want to get a GoPro to do it here so the camera angle is a little better. Anyway, I'm just got all my stuff on from. I have my Bad Monkey shirt on. I bought a Bad Monkey for $49, and now they're worth $650. I don't know if they're worth that anymore, but anyway, so if you guys are over on Facebook, let me know. I'm going to dig in and see if I am on any of the Facebook stuff at all. Oh, here comes. Hey, there I am. I am live now. Hey, Mom, I got my Mom. We call her Ma. You want to be on the live stream? No answer. Okie dokie. So, did I order a Nauticlon? I can't say out loud if I did or not. I don't want to say out loud if I did or not order a Nauticlon. Don't want to say that out loud. Hey, there's Ash. Yeah, so it's completely different doing it here at home. But we'll do them. This is not going to take the place of the other thing. It's just Abraham's off to college, so he's back home for winter break as of yesterday, and so I'm just going to do some of these from here because people want to talk about stuff. They want to get into talking about things, which is cool. I'm down with talking. I today about ASCAP. I wanted to talk a few weeks ago about it, and I just haven't had an opportunity to do it because people have a lot of questions about publishing and about ASCAP and BMI and what those things are and what they do and why they're important. So today is a perfect example of why it's important. I can't remember what it was. I posted something about that stuff, and people started asking me questions about ASCAP and BMI. Oh, I know what it was. I got my ASCAP check. And when you get checks from them, you're kind of like, hey, this is important stuff, because you get paid. It's not my regular income, but it's like bonus money, or something like that. We call it mailbox money because it just shows up in the mailbox and you don't know you're going to get it, unless you really watch your ASCAP stuff every day, or unless you get a regular check from ASCAP, you make so much, you get a regular check. So ASCAP will actually police. Hey, Jim, how are you, man? It's good to see you, buddy. And happy holidays to everybody. Oh, I have the Earthtones holiday special going on right now. I didn't come on here just to pimp that, but while we're doing things, I will mention that. This is Art Bell's late night rock show. That's right. That's right. It's crazy, right? So we got amps and pedals. You can see I got a pedal shelf over here too, and I've got all of my stuff to do commercial music, and I can do some production work from here too, which is fun. It's kind of cool. Let me get this camera off of it's just shining back at the window shade and all the stuff here. We'll go like that. That'll be a little better. So we got Mickey and my synthesizers and MIDI controllers and all that stuff. Anyway, so talking about ASCAP, and if anybody's got any ASCAP, not just ASCAP, but PRO questions, performing rights organizations, if we have any questions about that, just let me know, and I can definitely try and answer some of that stuff for you. I don't know that I know everything. I don't know everything about it for sure, but I know a little bit. And a perfect example of why you need to register with what's called a PRO is that in today's world, as you put stuff on streaming platforms, you don't know who in the world's going to hear it, who's going to have access to it, who's going to be listening, because you always put your stuff out as if, if you're like me, you put it out as if people are going to be, the whole world's going to listen. And then you look and you're like, wow, I made a quarter of a cent last month. Nobody listens, so it's like the two extremes. Like you get excited about putting it on these platforms where everyone in the whole entire world, millions of people can listen. They have the option to listen, the opportunity, if they know about your stuff and if you're a good marketer and all that. But there are people that are listening that you just don't know, and you never will a lot of times. So case in point for why you need to be with a PRO, performing rights organization. Excuse me. Oh gosh, I ate too much salad from the Olive Garden. We got Olive Garden takeout tonight. Yummy, yum, yums. And I apologize. I've had this cold for like 2 months, and that's not an exaggeration. I saw some stat today where the CDC or something just says that there's some crazy, I don't even think it's the CDC, but it's that there's just this crazy upper respiratory thing going around that just keeps going around. And And I swear, man, I've been on everything for it, and it just won't. It's just my head's just been stopped up like I've had a cold for 2 months. It's the most annoying thing in the world. But it's been just like this. Hasn't gotten any worse. Hasn't gotten any better. Anything like that. Okay, so PRO, Performing Rights Organization. That's what we'll talk about tonight, just because that's what's on my mind from working this week. So a PRO is either going to be ASCAP or BMI, and what they do is they police in a sort of random way, like they call it like a survey. It's like a cross section of the usage of your stuff. It may not be every single one that they use, but they're pretty good about it, and that's really always up to who uses it. And if people are using it and they're really good and they're reporting all that stuff, and people are paying their ASCAP, they had to pay your ASCAP dues to have ASCAP, to have people play cover music in your clubs, which you never really get paid individually for those things, but like usages on, say, TV shows or film or something like that. How that goes is there's ASCAP will, in my ASCAP listing every month, when I have a listing, I pull up my dashboard and my ASCAP account, and you should always look at your ASCAP account, whether you've gotten paid any money or not. That's always kind of what prompts people to go look at their account. If you're new to this thing and you're new to that, and you're new to the whole streaming thing, especially, and a lot of the streaming services, like I use CD Baby, a lot of people use DistroKid. If anybody's got any opinions out there about what you use for distribution, feel free to let me know. Just put it in the comments and we'll talk about it. If you see me looking up, I'm looking at my big computer screen, which is up here, and then my light and all my mic and all that stuff is here. Anyhow, the way that they do this is they will list all this stuff. They'll list all the usages of your music. If it's your music and you've composed it. So you have a composer and an author. An author is who writes the lyrics, and the composer is who writes the music. You can be both of those, or you can split that with someone, or you can split it all up however you want. Hey, you can move that. You can pull that box out there if you want to. Get it out of your way. Abraham has arrived. Abraham is in the room. He's right here. At least wave to everybody. There's his hand. I should turn the camera where we can see Abraham. You sure? All right. Anyway, so it's pretty important for you, because if you're going to get paid, people think that there's stuff. If you put something on a streaming service, or you put something in a platform where someone can use it for TV or film, and you're thinking, man, like you're thinking, this is like, hold on a minute, I'm gonna get this hat like right there. It's driving me nuts, man. Sorry. And you're thinking to yourself, man, I am going to be a millionaire. First off, you're not going to be a millionaire at it. You might one day, but just from putting your stuff on a streaming platform, you're not going to be a millionaire. But you could make $5, you can make $10, you can make $100, you can make $500, and that's money that you didn't have from the usage of your stuff before. It can come from streaming. It can come from platforms like satellite radio. If you know somebody that runs a satellite radio show, and they, like not internet radio, but say like XM or Sirius or something like that. But perfect example of this today, which is so bizarre that I've been wanting to do an ASCAP sort of episode, or a PRO episode for you guys, and why it's important that you've got to be signed up for something like that. You have to join one of these organizations. They're free to join. I know ASCAP is free, as far as I can tell, as far as I remember. I think they're free. They used to be $50, I think, and everybody complained about having to pay. And people are so lazy about doing the paperwork on all this stuff too. And I hate to say that, but they really are. I've had band members that I've just said, hey, you need to go ahead and register with ASCAP or BMI so you can get your splits on these songs. Nah, that's all right. Like, no faith in it, like never going to make a dime, like stuck in Localville. We're just going to play around Greensboro. I'm like, all right, that's great. Have fun. That's not necessarily what I'm shooting for. And nor have I ever, been shooting to stay in a local kind of scenario like that. But it's where you got to start, right? So you have to think, you have to protect yourself. So if things do get used, that you'll be, you'll be ready, and you can get paid. Again, okay, case in point. So I had a friend of mine call me yesterday, a client of mine call me yesterday. You kind of become friends with all your clients anyway. So I had a client of mine from years ago that we kind of worked together on stuff still. And he calls me and says, "Hey, man, I just got an email from ASCAP saying that I've got money." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. What did you get money for?" And I'm thinking it's an email about streaming, and it's going to be like a $5 check or something like that. And he said, "I don't know." And I said, "Well, can you sign into your ASCAP account?" So he signed into his ASCAP account that he hadn't signed into in probably 5 years. And there were two listings. One was for The Voice, that show The Voice, where they sing the competition with like Blake Shelton and whoever the judges are. And the other was for a documentary, a PBS documentary. Here's the crazy thing. Both of them were cover songs. And the one for The Voice was a cover version of Come Together by the Beatles. And I had recorded and mixed it 7 or 8 years ago. And apparently this guy, I'll have to look his name up. That's the best part about having my computer right in front of me now. And I apologize about this cough. Again, I've had this thing for God knows how long. It's just been anyway, so I'm gonna look up this guy's name. He was on The Voice. Jeez. Sorry. This guy's name is Noivas. Is it Noivas? Like, I'm Noivas. Help me. I'm Noivas. All right. I'm afraid if I click this song and it comes across the speakers or it comes across my microphone, then they'll flag my video for having content that that I shouldn't have on there, or non-copyright, whatever. Anyway, so they used, the other crazy part is this. They did not use the song, the version that we recorded or mixed. I couldn't understand it when he told me last night, and I kept trying to pick his brain about it, and he knows nothing about any of this stuff. All he does is write and record music. Any of the other stuff, the peripheral stuff afterwards, he has no idea. Sup. I see Sup from the Facebook group. Sup. I'll be in to see you to buy some more time for Jill. Hey, Rodney Bettini. No question. Just wishing you a happy holiday. Who says no question? You can ask me questions. Happy holidays to whoever this is. I'm trying to look and trying to monitor stuff, and I don't really see any monitoring that I can do. I'm trying to monitor all these and talk and not get all sidetracked. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. So the oh, hey, that's Terry Von Cannon. Hey, happy holiday to you too, man. Oh, John Dawson said this is Art Bell's late night rock show. Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's kind of dark in here, and I've got the shelf all like with I got some lighting like back here on the shelf, and a picture of Tyler the Creator. Oh, that's awesome. And Mickey Mouse. Anyway, let me turn this again where it's not right in the window so much. All right, let's go back here. Hey, Mark, Merry Christmas to you guys too, man. And happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Am I at Earthtones or home? I am at home. This is Earthtones South, as I like to call it. This is my setup where I can do stuff at home. It actually was Abraham's setup for about a whole year till he just went to college. But here he is sitting in the chair beside me. He's just not on the camera. He's just chilling and and monitoring things on his phone, meaning looking at stuff. Anyway, so he took some of the studio equipment that was in this room to college with him, and so I came in and just kind of tricked it back out for myself to be able to use to do, like to do anything with. I mean, I could mix on the system if I wanted to. I prefer to mix at work, but I can do a lot of, like, I've done some licensing placement stuff this past week for there's an agency that I work with that gives us these things called briefs. It's like being in the CIA. They send you an email and they tell you everything. They tell you what they want it to sound like, and here's some references, and here's the instrumentation we want in it. It needs to be a minute and a half long, and it needs to build, and it needs to do all this stuff. So you can write all those and pick up some side money. It's a good side hustle if I don't have clients in. And a lot of times around the holidays, business kind of sits down a little bit, and I get a few days here and there, not really a few days in a row, but I'll get a odd day here or there. And I can either choose to stay at home and work a little bit here on stuff like that, or a lot of times I do them at the studio too. Anyway, so back to the ASCAP stuff. So talking about ASCAP and talking about the PROs and why you need to be a member of one. You may not think that your original material is worth anything. Some people don't. Some people even look at the streaming world and Spotify, and it's all doom and gloom. Like they're not going to, it's not gonna be worth anything. You know what I mean? Like they don't have a ton of faith. They don't have a ton of faith in their stuff. And I kind of hate it, but it's cool. I mean, some people are quite the opposite. They have all the faith in the world, and they think they put their first record out, especially when they're young, that it's just going to be, they're going to take the world by, just gangbusters. And I'm like, I think that's awesome. I think that's cool. That's the attitude that everybody should have, and you should always have it. Again, case in point, this guy calls me yesterday and he says, "Hey man, I just got an email from ASCAP. I don't know anything about this. You're the one that told me to sign up for ASCAP years ago. What does this mean? Do you think I made some money?" And I was like, "I don't know. Let's sort it out." So I had a few minutes and I said, "Let's kind of sort it out. Pull up your ASCAP and tell me what it says." I mean, he's the kind of guy that can't really share anything. Like he won't really share you a link, but he'll screenshot something and send it to you. So anyway, he's still very manual, even though he's on his phone, which is great. So he doesn't know a lot about ASCAP or any of that, even though we've signed up for it. So he gets this email from ASCAP and he says, "Do I have any money?" I said, "I don't know." So he goes in and he looks at it and he says, "Hey, they said ASCAP says I got $250 coming." And I was like, $250 for what? And I'm thinking this is a record we did this record 7 years ago. Why are you going to start making money streaming all of a sudden? You're going to make money streaming make $250 streaming. There hasn't really been streaming platforms around that long where you're going to really start to make that kind of money. So the listings were for, again, The Voice, and it was the finale episode. And apparently this guy named Noivas, Noivas, like nervous, I guess. Noivas, or maybe his name is just Noivas or something. I don't know. I don't know any of these people. I do know some voice people. My girl Vanessa Ferguson, who is awesome, she was on The Voice. She's the truth. This cat that sang this song, he's the truth too. He's really good. Anyway, so here's the bizarre thing, and here's why you should always have your stuff registered with someone who is going to police your money. Number one, because it's your money, because it's your intellectual property. Intellectual property means it's something that you cannot hold. I cannot hold a song in my hand. It is something that's been created. It's something that's sort of in the ether, something that can be shared around with people, but it's your intellectual property. So it is your property, but it's not your property like a car or like a boat or like a motorcycle that you would insure. But this is kind of your insurance for it, right? So ASCAP sends this guy this, and I said, let's search this thing out. So we go online So what happens is with ASCAP, the greatest part about any of these, ASCAP or BMI or any of your PROs, or CSAC is another one, is that they're going to send you something called a cue sheet if it gets used on a TV show or a movie. And a cue sheet is essentially, it's the whole show. It shows you all these show codes. There's a lot of codes, like episode codes, like it'll say like series code. It'll be like a 9 number code. And it'll say like episode code. It'll be like a 6 number code. And it doesn't mean anything to you. But if you need to search it out through the internet, you can really use those codes to search stuff. You can go onto IMDb and use those codes. So it becomes like this sort of sleuthing research thing you need to do. But it's interesting to me. It's super interesting and intriguing to me to follow that stuff. Number one, because it's your money, but number two, because that's a whole industry that you're watching happen. Like, people want to be in the music industry. And I'm like, man, if you want to be in the music industry, you can work in the music industry. You may not be a rock star, may not, end up being a rock star like you want to, but you can have a job in the music industry. If there's somebody who's researching all those shows, because if you look at a cue sheet for a TV show, you're going to see the number of the cue, like the first cue, the second cue, and a cue is just a piece of music that gets used. So they're paying you an hour episode could easily use 150 music cues in a cable show. Now, The Voice is not going to use that many in an hour because I got a lot of commercials. So finally getting around to the point of this whole thing is that my client got paid $250 for the usage of the idea of his cover of Come Together by the Beatles. It's the most bizarre thing. I've never personally been paid for like a vibe, which is kind of what it was. There are parts of his arrangement that you could hear the live band playing, or maybe even using. I don't know if they sampled parts of it, but you could really tell that they had listened to this version, and they had, they were long, like Ghana, like the guitars were real big. And I went back and listened to the version of it that we had done 7 years ago. And the other thing is this, this song was not on any of the streaming platforms, not available. He had not opted for that when he signed up, when he got CDs made. I think he had CDs made 7 or 8 years ago. We have absolutely no idea how the access to this version of the song came about. So when they show you your ASCAP cue sheet and you get paid for usages of stuff, it's going to show you who is the composer, who's the author, who's the publisher. And I always talk about your publishing rights. Don't ever sell your publishing rights, because if they're your publishing rights, with being paid to use this stuff, to use your music, you're going to get the publishers, they're going to make up to a total of 50% of the income of that song. They can make up to 50%. Now, there could be 3 publishers on it, depending who has the publishing rights or how the contracts are worked out. Publishers used to be who actually made like printed out sheet music. There was a publisher, right? Like a book publisher. Publishing was like a physical thing. Like, they were publishing physical things like books. What they would do is the publisher of the book would make 50% of the rights to your song, and you as the composer or the author would make the rest of the other 50% total. So there'd be 8 people that wrote the song. Those 8 people are entitled to a total of 50% of the usage. So if you got paid $100 for using your song, those 8 people would have to split $50. However it was done. The publisher gets the other $50. That's the way it's worked out. That's the way it is worked out. And you can look in your ASCAP listing. It will not go 49. It will not go 48. It will not go 51, 50, and 50. That's it. So if you had 3 songwriters on it, they can go 15, 15, 20. The weird thing is they won't go 33. You can only do it in, I think, increments of 5. But So this guy literally he got a check for $250 from ASCAP for the usage of the cover, the live version of his arrangement of someone else's song. And he had paid, you pay a licensing right when you release this stuff, through, you pay a licensing right through, there's like the Harry Fox agency and all that. But you can, you pay licensing usage fees for other people's songs, for like cover songs, if you're going to put them on a record. And anyway, this was kind of wild, because it wasn't his recording of the song. And I had never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen, because the voice band is live as far as I can tell. Maybe it's pre-recorded. I don't know. It looked pretty live to me. We watched it. It's on YouTube. You can look it up. But hearing the way that the guitars fell in certain spots, boom, and then there's spots where it goes bop bop, and it's going come together, pop pop, like it's heavy. It's not the original. And the way that the payment was divvied up through the ASCAP statement was, my client got 25% for being composer. John Lennon got 25% for being author, which is lyrics. My client got 25% for being publisher. John Lennon, or original publisher, got the other 25%. So this guy did a cover of a Beatles song on his record, which is not on any streaming services or YouTube. I have no idea how. I was looking for it and I couldn't find it, which was just mind-boggling to me. That was this afternoon, and that's why I was like, man, I have got to go home and put this crazy contraption stand thing together, and we'll try it out, but we'll talk about ASCAP stuff. So I don't know who's still out there and listening. I don't see any other comments, but this will all be saved on YouTube as a live, and hopefully it'll be saved on Facebook. A lot of these videos get flagged because we're playing, and we'll play a certain riff or something, and they'll flag it and say it's somebody else's music, which is just bullshit to me. But anyway, so they're trying to police me for using somebody else's stuff, because I guess they think I'm making money off of it. But I'm not. So the lesson today is that no matter how long it takes for you to make money off of something that you have recorded, it's no matter whether it pays your mortgage or no matter whether it's like a tip, you're like a bartender and you're getting a tip. It's worth the little bit of time that it takes to register your works through a performing rights organization. It's every bit worth it, because what happens is, as a performer or a composer or anything else, this guy was so stoked today. Like, he came over, hey, Vestige, thank you, man. Yeah, this guy was so stoked today. I mean, he texted me on the way home and he said, dude, I am stoked. I am like pumped. Like, he wants to go home. He said, I'm going to go home and start writing. So immediately there's this really strange validation that comes from it, because someone thought enough about your composition, about your intellectual property, to pay for the usage of it. And you just go like, oh, okay. And it, this industry will beat you into the ground. I mean, God, look at me, man. It's beat me into the ground over 56 years. But it will beat you into the ground if you're not careful. It will make you an old person. Okay, don't know if I am what you call hopeful about music money, but I make recordings because I love. Never really make music for money, but I do have my stuff registered and I track it online at least 3 times a week. It is fun. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is this guy was doing the same thing. Oh, and that's from Terry. Hey, Terry. Um, yeah, so this guy was so stoked about that. And again, and so okay, so here's the second part to that equation. Is this guy's adamant, if anything, man. He's adamant about stuff. And he does he did a couple of he's done a couple of covers of stuff. I could probably drop a link to I'll tell you what I'll do. First thing is I'm gonna drop a link in this chat, which I think everyone, I think it only goes to no, I'll tell you what, I'll put it in the esteemed colleagues chat and as a comment. This is the usage. This is the usage that got paid. The usage got paid for. Let me go to my YouTube and see if I can drop. Oh no, if I drop it in this chat, it'll do that. Hold on a second. Yeah. So, yeah. So that should have dropped it into YouTube and one of the Facebooks, I think. Anyway, that's the usage that got paid for. I couldn't for the life of me figure out how it happened, but the other thing that he got paid for was something. It may have been back in May, and it was a Prince song. It was a cover of a Prince song that he did. It was like "Darling Nikki" or something like that. But these covers that he does, they're not verbatim covers. Like the chorus chords and "Come Together" weren't the same as the original. Hey, I see somebody commenting. Thump finger commenting. How are you, man? So if you're just joining in, we've been talking about ASCAP and the importance of not just ASCAP, the importance of performing rights organizations, and telling my story about my friend who called me yesterday, my client who called me yesterday about a question he had about ASCAP because they were paying him some money and he didn't know why. So you go into your ASCAP and we go into our ASCAP and we look at all this stuff, all the listings, and the listing for that one was for The Voice. We pulled it up. We found out that the usage of it was for an arrangement. And again, it's bizarre. The first thing it reminded me of was the Bruno Mars thing where they had the big lawsuit, the Marvin Gaye thing, right? Where they were saying that you can't copyright a feeling or you can't copyright like a vibe of something. But what's really odd is that this payment for this usage of this song was not for the actual recording. It was for the band to play a portion of the song like the recording that he made, if that makes sense. So it was a vibe. It wasn't exactly, there was a lot of stuff, but I mean, I could pick apart things that were inspired by it. So basically, this guy got paid to inspire someone to use the vibe of his recording of someone else's song on a TV show. And they may have just been paying him to cover their behinds. I don't know. But it's very much like you can hear parts and just go like, yeah. And I wonder if at some point they've sampled something out of that song and it's in the track. Because I mean, I know when I say it's a live band, I don't know how much of that stuff's live, to be honest with you. I don't think they're playing straight up live. I think there's a lot of part of it. I'm sure they all got a click in their ear and there's some track in there somewhere going on. And some of that track may have been sampled out of his. But the weird thing is, it wasn't a sample usage fee that he got paid. They literally split between him and John Lennon the royalties from this usage of the song. And I was like, dude, you just split a royalty with John Lennon, or probably with Yoko at this point. which was just the most bizarre thing to me. And again, this is a record that we worked on 7 or 8 years ago. You would have never, I couldn't even tell you when I listened to the version that they used for the show, I could not remember what the version that we cut sounded like, if I was even hearing anything that was remotely familiar to that. Could not even remember it. And then I had to go find it today, and I found it on this oddball website because it's not streaming. That's the bizarre thing, is it's not like they came across it on Apple Music or Spotify, because it's not on those services. We could not figure out for the life of me. I said, dude, maybe somebody works for the show bought your CD, bought a CD and just remembered, or maybe they found it somewhere, but just really, really bizarre. So the other thing was that there's a documentary on PBS, and I'm going to share that if I can find it, called Prince and the Revolution, the Purple Rain Tour. And it's on PBS. And it was broadcasts in 2022, June the 4th, 2022, of Prince's 1985 concert from the Carrier Dome. And this guy got paid for the usage of his cover of Darling Nikki, and I have no idea how or why, because this is literally a Prince tour. And again, I see that it was on PBS. I see all this stuff in the ASCAP listing, where I'm seeing all these details. It's like having a free accountant when your stuff gets used. It tells you everywhere, every detail, and you can really kind of like sleuth that stuff out and really see, who's using your stuff. But you can see at what point it gets used. And again, these were 2 covers. So you're splitting royalties with the people who wrote these songs. So this guy's splitting royalties with Prince, and he split royalties with Prince and with John Lennon within a few days. And I was like, wow. And if you knew this guy, he's the most unassuming dude. He's not a rock star or anything like that. And he was as shocked and surprised as I was. But again, really stoked about it once you realize, hey, my stuff's getting used, and people are, it makes you equate your creation with some monetary stuff, right? It's your intellectual property, but it's like all of a sudden you're like, wow, somebody's paying me to use this, and it's not a half a cent for 20 streams on Spotify. It's not some random person that clicked on it because they thought it was another song. Like, this is serious stuff. So that was me preaching to you guys about joining PROs. That's me preaching to you now. That was me preaching to a guy probably 7 years ago. I said, you got to register all this stuff. And so he went through and registered, and was like, and people always ask you questions, and it's kind of in a defensive, not in a defensive way, but just like, you don't know, you're kind of ignorant about it because you don't know, you're just not that well informed about it yet. So I just try to inform people. I'm like, look, trust me, when you join ASCAP, it's not like you're going to start getting checks next week, but eventually you will. And so anyway, go join your up. And I'm sitting here talking about all of this. Let me put this, I'm going to put this link in this chat, which will go to somewhere. This is the Prince one. This is the Prince usage that's getting used, that he's got a song or we've got something. And I did both of those. Recordings, and I mean, obviously for me doing the recordings, I don't get any residuals or I don't get any information about those. But the other thing is, I am also, since I belong to this one, I am going to I'm going to put the link for ASCAP in here, so everybody can go check that out. That's just who I use. You can use whoever you want. Let me go here and put this in. And I appreciate everybody kind of joining in. I've missed not doing the Wednesday thing, but Abraham went off to school, and if I just sit at the studio and do it all by myself, it's not as exciting. But I do want to start doing them again, even if I have to do them kind of like this, where we can just talk a little bit. I will get back to playing, doing the guitar pedals and stuff like that. I just really have to get it down. Like my interns really would set that up for me on Wednesdays, and it just hasn't been the best intern situation for that. I don't have as many interns this semester, so next semester maybe we'll get that cracking again. But let me also put that. Did I put ASCAP in there too? I did. I put ASCAP in there, and I put ASCAP in there, and that should go into the. That ASCAP should go into the. I want to make sure. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's see here. Okay, cool. All right, yeah, let me get out of that. Okay. Man, I'm so sorry. I don't even realize how stopped up my head is when I'm sitting here talking to you guys. I apologize for that. That's really annoying to listen to. Okay, so holiday special is cracking right now. It's cracking at earthtonesrecording.com/specials. Excuse me. I promise I'm okay. I've just got whatever. Jeez. I've just got whatever this nasty upper respiratory thing going on. And I've had it for like 2 months. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm going to put that in. There's that. And let's put the special for the link in here. Not that you haven't seen me post it a million times. And I apologize for all the posts about it, but I'm my own. I am my own advertising. So I kind of have to do that. And I coughed and I knocked the camera sideways. That was funny. All right. Okay. That's a little better. Oh my God. Man, I look terrible on the camera. Wow. I look like I feel sick and everything. I really don't feel that bad, but it's just I sound terrible. I know a musician that will not copyright with anyone like ASCAP, but always mails a copy and lyrics to the Library of Congress, the only thing he trusts. Well, the funny thing is, those two things are completely different. They're completely different. They're completely different functions. So, with a PRO or ASCAP or with the PRO, they're going to make sure you get paid. Okay, copyright is going to make sure no one else steals your music and calls it theirs. It's kind of the only way I can really put that. Like say I recorded a song and then I put it out on a record, and 2 years later Terry recorded that song and said it was his. I don't mean to use it as a bad example like that, Terry, but I just saw your name up there. So but Terry recorded that song and said that it was his song, not that it was my song. And what copyright does is copyright says, no, I wrote that song by this date, and copyright registration will actually put a date on it. You can do what's called the poor man's copyright, and the poor man's copyright is going to replying to Facebook user, trying to tell him he will never get paid, but he would not. but he would not listen. Right. So the what's going to happen is with a PRO, they're going to make sure that you get paid, but that's if the other end is being legal too. So um say this instance of someone getting paid that I'm talking to you guys about is this thing for The Voice. Well, obviously they're on NBC. They're pretty much on the up and up. They're not operating illegally. They're not trying to steal. If anything, they're trying to really pay and cover their ass, because if they don't, and they use someone else's version of a song or use a vibe that's like that, and that person goes, man, you really ripped me off, they could sue them for a lot more than the $250 royalty they had to pay to use that. I guess it was a $500 royalty because they paid $250 to John Lennon's estate and then paid $250 to this guy. So for $500, they can pay. That's a lot less than lawyer fees, a lot less than suing. It's a lot less than, hey, you did this, and like your reputation and all that. It's just being on the up and up. It's just being honest about stuff. Copyright says, I wrote that song on this date. And if you say you wrote this song any date later than this, you're lying and you're stealing my stuff. So Vestige says, it's my understanding that a digital recording with a timestamp is sufficient nowadays, at least in court. Is that right? I think so. I think it is. But what will stand up? I mean, copyright is not copyright, like copyright.gov or whatever it is. I think it's copyright.gov maybe. Is so easy, so much easier than you used to have to do. You used to have to pay per song, and we would do them. And they even instruct you to do this nowadays on the copyright website. Is you can you can do it as what's called a collection, because they used to charge you, like, it used to be like $39 a song or something like that back in the day, like back in the late 80s, early 90s, when I first started writing stuff, and people worried about copyright stuff. You used to have to fill out a thing. It was $39 a song, or you could send in a tape. Like, tapes was what we had back then. That was like that was kind of a couple of years pre CD. Definitely pre being able to burn your own CDs, but tapes, we had tapes. And if you wrote things, we would do them as what was called a collection. And I think you can do them as a collection now on the copyright website. I think digital timestamps stand up. But what will always stand up is and I'm sure everybody's heard a version of this. This is my version of what they call the poor man's copyright. And the poor man's copyright is basically, if you ain't got $39 to get your stuff copyrighted, which, a lot of people don't. When I first started writing stuff, I didn't have $2. I didn't have 39 cents. So the poor man's copyright essentially is that you make a copy of the song on some sort of physical media, if it's tape or it's CD or even a flash drive or whatever it is, and you mail it via certified mail to yourself. You go to the post office and you mail it via certified mail to your home address. And what that's going to do is, certified mail, if I'm not mistaken, has to be signed for. And when certified mail is signed for, it is signed for on a certain date. It has a date on I think you have to sign the actual package, or you have to sign something that comes with it, like certification that comes with it, that matches the postage stamp on the package. And then what you do is you don't open that. Like, you seal it up, right, when you mail it to yourself, and then you don't open it. But what stands up in court is actually not only the not opening of it, but the date stamped on it. And again, copyright doesn't get you paid. Copyright stops people from stealing your stuff and calling it theirs. You can release a cover version of someone else's song on an LP or a CD or vinyl or tapes or anything without having to show your licensing of their song. You just cannot release their song on your record. In other words, I can't take a song that's on Led Zeppelin 4 and literally take the version off of Led Zeppelin 4 and put it on my record and call it my song. I can't do that. I can record a version of a song on Led Zeppelin 4. That's my recording of that song. Now, and the companies, the duplicators will print those. They don't need to see your paperwork. They just go like, okay, you got this. You've done this yourself. Like they trust that you've gotten the usage rights for that song, right? They don't police you on any of that stuff. Now, what happens is later on, if you didn't get the usage fees for it and somebody sues you for money that you have made off of it, then you're in a mess. That has a lot to do with ASCAP and all of that. Again, this guy got paid for literally buying the usage rights to use Come Together by the Beatles on his own record to record a version of it. And that's how he got paid, was because he was honest about using the cover version of the song, which is, again, just if you didn't catch the first, God, I go on and on and on. It's like an hour now. I'm so sorry, guys. I didn't mean for this to be an hour, but it's always fun to talk to everybody virtually even. If you didn't catch the beginning of this, back it up and just watch it again. There's a whole story that started down this ASCAP rabbit hole. I posted a picture of a check that I had gotten last week or a few weeks ago or something. And my wife will always get them out of the mailbox and say, I think you got something from ASCAP. Like something from ASCAP is like, it could be a promotional thing. It could be their annual, here's our annual statement, or it could be a check. So you always have to be careful and you have to look and make sure you don't throw your money away. I still get them to send it to me physically just because I like to see it and I like to actually, I don't trust the digital stuff. Like I just would rather have it in my hands. But anyway, so anyway, ASCAP, PROs, join them. They are your friend. They're going to find usages of your music, even if you're not in a relationship with people that are getting your music shopped to TV shows or getting it shopped to movies. People are looking for music for the use on TV and film and every other use. They are looking all the time, perpetually, because they can find music that fits a scene or that fits a mood or that fits a subject matter. They can find that music that's already been composed by someone else, and they can pay a usage fee for it for a lot less work than paying a composer to custom compose and score a whole TV show. It's a lot cheaper for them to do that, but they have to sift through. I mean, these people have, they're not even creative directors. They're just probably just some poor intern going searching through everything, man. Spotify, like this kid on The Voice was probably like, hey, I'm going to do Come Together. Let's do a cool rock version of it. And I mean, who knows, man? They probably went on Google and just started searching. Or, I mean, again, I still don't know how they found the actual version because it's not on streaming platforms. I'd be really curious to find that out. But pretty interesting nonetheless. And it's really something that makes you really, again, this cat was pumped, man. He was excited. Because he's a big Prince fan. So seeing that he made money from the usage of a Prince cover that he did that was used on something on PBS, even if it's a snippet of it in a background scene, you get paid. I've had stuff placed on TV shows and I go search the episode down and I can't even hear, it might be mixed so far in the background, I don't even hear my version of the song. I'm like, I got paid for it, but I might not hear it. So that's a whole world that now is opening up to a lot of people. There's a thing. So I use CD Baby to do my digital distribution. Digital distribution and streaming distribution means that they're going to send it out to all your services like Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. So what I'm looking at now is I'm looking at my excuse me. I'm looking at my CD Baby. I'm looking at my CD Baby account. There's this thing called CDB Boost. They've lowered their prices for you to be able to stream a record. So for a whopping $9.99, they will put your record on all the streaming platforms. And they take their cut, they take a percentage, but it's a one-time cost. There's another one called DistroKid. DistroKid's cool. DistroKid doesn't take a percentage of your streaming royalties at all, but you got to pay DistroKid every year annually to stay on their service to keep all your stuff on all the streaming platforms. And if you don't, and you stop 1 year and you say, man, I really don't like DistroKid, and you got 10 records on Spotify, they pull all of those records. All your Spotify statistics go away, and then you got to re-platform them with another service. And I just refuse to be at someone's. That's just my thing. I would rather pay somebody a one-time fee like CD Baby and have them take a percentage. The percentage is really just based off of streaming usage. If I'm not getting a lot of streams, I'm not paying them a ton because I'm paying them a percentage of what gets streamed. DistroKid, I'm having to pay the same thing every year. Now, if I'm somebody like my buddy Corey Wong, loves DistroKid. He absolutely loves it and uses it all the time. Corey's making a lot of money on streaming, I'm sure. I mean, not a lot, but he's making a lot more than I am, that's for sure. And he tours and he does all this stuff. All right, what's Vestige say? Great stuff tonight, Benji. You'll be signing up for my annual Christmas special hours as usual. Hope to see you soon. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you hanging out and contributing to the conversation, my friend. It's always fun. All right, let's go back here and just continue talking about this. And I'm gonna let you guys out of here because I've been on for an hour. I didn't even plan on that, but anyway, this is cool to sit here and talk and not have to worry about guitar pedals and all that. So if you guys are down with it, I'll start doing one every week or two to just kind of catch everybody up. But I can do them from home here, and all I got to do is walk in and just go click, and this whole thing is set up now. You probably see the big ring things in my eyeballs. I have this ring light thing that came with this thing. I was in New York at the AES. My wife and I went to the AES convention, Audio Engineering Society. Audio Engineering Society thingy thing in New York convention. And we went and hung out in New York City for a few days, and it was awesome. And I buy stuff from B&H. I'm sure you guys know what B&H, B&H Photo, and they carry a lot of stuff now. They carry all kinds of crazy stuff. And so we went in the actual B&H store, which if you've never been to B&H in New York City and you're a musician or a content creator or whatever, go to B&H because it's a lot of fun. It was crazy because I've only seen them online, and I see them advertised now online, and it's cool. But go. Somebody said, "What's up?" Let me go over and see who it is. Jimmy Johnson, what's up with you, man? Hey, all my water pressure is all good, man, and everything is, all my water and plumbing is humping over here thanks to Jimmy Johnson. If you guys ever need any plumbing work, that's the guy to talk to. Anyway, what was I talking about? I'm talking about something before I got sidetracked. Plumbing. B&H. We were at B&H in New York City, and it was awesome. And I went in, and they just had all this crazy stuff, right? They had all these video switching systems and cameras and all this stuff. And they had where you could see all your packages, when you order them from B&H, and it shows it going out across this like conveyor belt through the whole store, like it starts up here and it goes down. And I was like, man, that is cool. So I'm standing there, and there's this thing on a table, and it's called looking at the box, it's by Gator. And if you guys are musicians, you'll know what Gator cases are. Like Gator cases are like road cases amps and guitars and for just equipment. You'll see the brand that says Gator, and they sell all sorts of stuff. They sell guitar cases and just music accessory cases and stuff like that. So Gator cases have always been really cool. So this is from Gator. This is from the company Gator, and it's this big mic stand contraption that attaches to the side of my desk, clamps onto the side of my desk, and it's got this big tall thing that's up here. It's got this big tall thing that my stand, my mic stand, my boom stand now comes down off of. It's got these two little arms that kind of come out off the side that you can mount a camera, and it has a ring light with it that you mount your camera in. So I just brought my webcam home from the studio. I'm hopefully going to get a little nicer one. This one's okay, and it does the job for now. GoPro does it. GoPro lets you use it as a webcam now, so I may just buy another GoPro and do that because you can do them streams at 4K and all that. But anyway, so I got that all hooked up, and I saw that at B&H in New York City, and I was like, oh, but we had flown, and I didn't have a way to take it home, or I would have just bought one right there. So I was just like mentally noted, like, man, if I ever feel like I need to do a podcast from home, or make it easier at the studio where I can just do it myself. Like I say, since Abraham's at school, we may do a couple while he's on Christmas break. We've got some other things kind of lined up while he's home, but he's home for like a month. So it would be cool to do another one and get out a bunch of pedals and all that good stuff like we did. And anyway, so I'm going to try to do some of these from here, and, make it fun. And I think that I can actually do pedals and stuff from here. Like, I think that, I don't think I have any keys sounds in here coming into the interface, but I know that we have a guitar amp back there that's on, maybe. Is there a guitar plugged in? There's a live guitar cable right here, but we'd have to put it in, but I'm sure it'll go right in. Excuse me. I'm sure it'll go right in and we could do it. So we'll try to do that coming up. But anyway, so I'm going to get off here. It is 9:09, and there's a Thursday night football game going on that I got to watch and see how bad my wife is going to beat me at fantasy football this season. She is in second place out of 8 teams. I am in last place out of 8 teams. I think Abraham's in third or fourth. So my family is destroying me at fantasy football. But hey, man, it's fun and we're having a good time. So I'm going to go upstairs and get some fantasy football tips from my wife, to see what players I should pick up and what players I should probably cut. But anyway, thank all of y'all for hanging out tonight. I just kind of wanted to come on and say hello to everybody since I haven't in a while. And I'll catch you up. We'll do another one of these next week. It's 14th. Yeah, we'll do another one before Christmas. How's that? And I'll kind of put it up on Facebook and maybe just say, we're going to do one. And you guys can watch it wherever you want to. If you watch it on Facebook or YouTube or whatever. And we'll do one and talk about some stuff, and maybe we'll get a couple of pedals in here. Now that it's all set up, it should be pretty easy just to go flip it on and we're good. So, all right, I am out. I'm going to end the stream right now. Again, thank all of y'all for watching, and I put the link in the comments for the Earthtones holiday special that I have going on right now, which is 4 hours of recording time for $150. It's a nice present. Buy some for yourself. There's no limit to them. They just have to be used in the year 2024 within that calendar year. And everybody's been really good this year about using theirs and booking them. I've actually got a session tomorrow. A couple of my sessions this weekend are from time that was bought last Christmas. So that's the way it works, man. You buy it, it's in the bank, and it's like banked time. So buy some, make your records this year. If you got a big record coming up, buy a few of them, buy 4 or 5. I don't care. It's it's good, and it gets people in. They may not be able to afford my regular rate throughout the year, and It kind of gets them in the saddle a little bit if they're not used to the studio experience, and it kind of lets them get in and get a little bit under their belt, and then they can come in next time a little more experienced. But anyway, thanks to all y'all. I'm out.